Hello, everybody. It's LynHarris here of Hard at Work, and welcome back. The podcast series is really just about how to create an impactful legacy. Most of us are working on it or on a journey already, and other people need a little help. So I interview people so that they can help you in your business so that you may have a greater impact in your business and your workplace. More kindness, maybe more productivity, maybe it's profits, I don't know, but we all have issues in our workplace. And so the people I interview are really the people that can help you unwind all of that for you. So today I have Sophie Alcorn on the call with me today. And I'm going to let her introduce herself. She can probably do it better than I can. And so Sophie, welcome, and tell us a little bit about how you got started doing what you're doing now.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mary Lynn. It's really a pleasure to be here. And this is a really inspiring topic that I care a lot about. And so what I do is I practice immigration law in Silicon Valley. I founded Alcorn Immigration Law, which is the fastest growing immigration law firm, maybe in California at this point. We just won an award for fastest growing woman-owned business in the Pacific region of the United States. Thank you. Thanks. We're winning all sorts of awards. I write for TechCrunch. Today, I just found out I got selected to do my first TEDx talk. So it's really exciting. And I'm launching a podcast too. It's called Immigration Law for Tech Startups. So there's a lot of exciting things happening. And I love this topic because I credit one of the reasons to for the growth of the success of the firm to this idea of kindness and legacy. And my goal is to really inspire our clients to believe in themselves and follow their dreams as if there were no borders between countries in the world. Right. So what would you do if you could follow your heart and do the thing you want to do? Okay, let's strategize and see if we can find an immigration route to make that possible.
Right.
So it's been really exciting. And to answer your question about how I got started, I was an immigration lawyer. My dad was an immigration lawyer. I took time off when I had two little kids.
Yeah.
They're now 6 and 9. And when they were 1 and 4, I was in a really difficult personal transition in my life, and needed to build my professional identity and create an income stream for myself. And it was a very challenging time. And one of the things that inspired me was I went to a workshop called Building a Career of Meaning and Impact.
Wow.
And even though I'd been out of the workforce, I was a stay-at-home mom, I was in a new geographic area, I didn't have a professional network, I didn't remember how to do the specifics of the immigration case types.
Yeah.
From being in that supportive environment, talking about purpose and designing your life, I realized that there's really a lot I could do with the career I had already invested in and reclaim it in a new way and start my practice here in Silicon Valley.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's always interesting how we start off somewhere and then we end up full circle later, you know.
Right. I had a college radio show.
Never a direct route. It was like zigzag.
I had a college radio show. I was the news director at Stanford's radio station for a while, and I didn't want to go into journalism or communications, but I loved it. And now here I am, 15, 20 years later with a podcast and being on your podcast. So it does come full circle.
Yeah. I would like to get on more podcasts myself, but for right now, you just start wherever you are, whatever you want to do.
Exactly.
And then you see where it goes, right? Like I was talking earlier,
As long as you identify where your target is, it doesn't matter how slow or fast, at least if you can orient yourself in that direction, any progress gets you closer.
Right. Yeah. So the leaders, the people that are leading other people are the people that are more interested I would say, more interested, quote unquote, in helping their people that they work with or lead with or maybe follow with, are more willing to jump in and say, okay, what can I do improve here, right?
Yeah.
Or, because you want to be proactive, it's easier than reactive, right? Because if you're reacting to all this stuff, and then all of a sudden all the legal issues come up and everything else, and then you're kind of, I guess I haven't been there, but I've just heard stories, kind of thing. But your situation, that you help people strategize, and whether there's a wall or not, that we're going to go through that wall,
Right. Let's rise above it. let's rise above it. That's simply what it is. Right?
Yeah. So, tell us a little bit of some successful stories that you've worked with people, and maybe share a little bit about some of the obstacles your clients face.
Sure. So we're primarily focusing on helping technology professionals. They could be in Silicon Valley or they could be anywhere in the world. And these are often HR departments at growing startups or tech companies. It could be founders themselves who are working at other companies and their immigration status is beholden to that corporate sponsorship, and they need to figure out a way to navigate through their own business that they've started to be able to stay in the United States.
Right.
We help investors. We also support, my vision is whatever tools, whatever means necessary. So we have a family immigration department as well. And what we're seeing more and more is that companies that are fed up with long wait times and increasing unpredictability for some business visa types are just saying, oh, look, our employee is marrying a US citizen who they're actually in love with. Let's just pay for them to get a green card through that process, because that's unlimited. So we're seeing a lot of generosity and investing in people and really seeing the benefit of, this isn't just a perk. Like pet insurance is a great thing if a company can offer it and it has a lot of value to a lot of people. This is people's lives and where they're going to live and where they're going to stay. So we see a lot of companies just deciding that in order to get the top talent from around the world, this is an investment they want to make, and that it's important for them to have hands-on client service and relationships with their law firm.
Yeah. So can you share just a story or success? You don't have to name the client.
Oh, sure. We help so many people. It's so inspiring. We've helped thousands of individuals from all around the world, hundreds of companies, visas, green cards, citizenship, everything from, we have somebody who intermittently says, I know we're working on my visa, but I need to go spend 3 weeks on the submarine developing my new robotic technology. So you can't reach me when I'm on the submarine. We've had people who are in outer space. Today, I was talking to people who are using artificial intelligence to design nano robots to help do physics experiments. I don't even understand a lot of the things. And I have to say, okay, break this down for me. We have NASA astronauts, and we have just a whole lot of families who are, mom and dad are software engineers from India or China, and they've invested in bachelor's degrees and master's degrees here in the States. They've bought a house, they have US citizen children, and they are, navigating our immigration path, trying to get permanent residence, able to stay here together.
Yeah, I'm sure that it's a very long process. I have I call her my sister, but she was in the US working, and the company she was working with said they'd promised her a green card, and they never even applied the paperwork to it. And she worked with them for 10 years.
Oh.
So when she went, she wanted to stay, and she couldn't find anybody else that would sponsor her.
Oh my
So she ended up going back to her
Yeah.
country. But anyway, it was,
Yeah.
it's, like, I wish I had known you then. I would have, been able to say, hey, go call Sophie.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, if anybody's listening to this, don't stay at a company 10 years waiting.
yeah,
In the Silicon Valley ecosystem right now, it's like, okay, once you get an H-1B, companies will start sponsoring. Some will even do it sooner.
right,
Most I hear is maybe a 2-year wait time.
right.
But it's really important to be to have clear verbal commitments and stick to your word in situations like that.
Right.
When both sides are taking risks.
Right. Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing. I don't think people realize, people coming from other countries to, whether it's the US or another country, they take a big risk of, moving from one country to the other, right? They think, oh, well, it's just, this, and I'm like, well, no, really.
Yeah.
It's just some of the challenges that I find that, just my own experience. But
there's a lot of little things too. Like when you move here, you don't have a credit history, and it's really hard to buy stuff. There's just all these little sacrifices everywhere that ends up resulting in. I mean, I think we should have increased levels of immigration, but the people who are able to navigate through our system now have a very high level of grit and determination. And I'm not surprised that I think 53% of, there was a study of billion-dollar valued companies, so unicorns, more than half had at least one immigrant founder. So, yeah. And they create jobs for Americans, so it's really valuable.
Yeah, we all hope to do that, right? We all hope to have our own business and create jobs and have lots of fun and be social and do all that.
Yeah.
So what types, you already explained that you like to work with IT companies that are in Silicon Valley. And so what are some other types of, and you also mentioned you do work with some families. Are those the families from the Silicon Valley?
They are, but our clients are really all over the world. There's so many. There are so many countries. There's so many people. There's so many visa types. There's really endless combinations. We have a lot of clients who are in India and Australia and various Western European countries, China. A lot of technology companies that have had some success in different countries, but they're having trouble getting further investment because there's a different investment economy and different risk tolerance. For example, the European investor community has a lot lower tolerance for risk than American investors. And so a lot of them, they might have a very successful product or business in Germany, but they can't continue to grow under those conditions. So they want to come here and play and try to raise large
money
later.
More liberal here. Here, take some.
Here's $15 million. Go try. Let's see if you'll fail.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what are your favorite clients to work with?
Oh, kind clients. Yeah, so obviously there's some types of immigration work we don't do and a lot of types of law that we don't practice. So we're always referring people out to our network of trusted advisors, whether they need a family attorney or somebody in IP law to help with patents or an accountant. So, but it's always nice to be able to refer kind people to our network. But I personally really love working with the people who are very motivated and are passionate about following their dreams. And obviously it's inspiring. I also think that it leads to a higher chance of being successful. You know, if you believe it, you can attract it. And if you're dragging your feet, worried that you're not going to qualify, so you don't put in a full effort to help us get the information we need, it's going to make it riskier for you. So kindness and belief in themselves and their value really makes it easy. It's so ironic, isn't it, that as a service professional, you know, my instinct is to help the people who are vulnerable, and we certainly do that. We've done a lot of pro bono work and help asylum seekers and people in deportation trials and juveniles and victims of human trafficking. So, you know, there's a lot there, certainly. But if you take two people who are equally qualified and want the same thing, the one who believes in themselves is so much easier to help and usher to that path.
That's true, you know, and I think we all fall out of like of ourselves and trust of ourselves, and it's important that if you have forgotten about yourself, it's really important to get the help and get going, right?
Yeah.
You know, even if it's a pep talk or if it's whatever it is, you know. So while we wrap up the call, Sophie, can you tell me a little bit, do you want to share any tips for anybody, how they maybe should prepare before they come and see you, or what things that you think are important in your business for immigration?
So it's always good to be organized, whether you're a company or an individual who wants immigration support. It's good to have an idea of what type of questions you would like to ask, you know, what your goals are, what are your objectives, why are you seeking support or consultation. If you have experience with immigration in the past, it's always good to get your documents organized in a you know, an online folder with titles on the files and in date order. That's super helpful, those little things. And then just to, you know, be open to having a conversation, sharing your goals, and then myself, and also with the support of my team of experts, you know, we'll walk you through. We'll help you figure out if you qualify, if not now, then in the future, how you might be able to do it, what's the process, what's the steps. So it's really, I think for a lot of people, it's not just about being brave enough to make a call or send an initial introductory email, but it's also having the self-confidence and sense of self-worth to invest the time into having that conversation with an expert to really learn about what the best strategy is for you.
Right. Yeah. I think, like you were saying, it's so well tuned, is that strategy is really the key thing. That's your blueprint, even if it's just a timeline.
Right.
You know, and then in between you have your action steps. Okay, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that. Right. It's all about strategy.
And I can't guarantee anything, but I do know the basic formula. So if somebody comes to me who isn't even a college graduate but has some dream of something that they want to build, I can walk them through how they would need to build a profile, a portfolio of accomplishments in their home countries, so that they could end up using that as a basis to immigrate here without a company to sponsor them. So anything's possible as long as you're willing to put in some time at the beginning to develop a strategy and then stick with it.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. You know, like you have to have that kind of the wherewithal to plan to an action what you're going to do, you know, that type of thing. So any final words you'd like to say before we end the call? We have a couple more minutes.
Yeah, so I think that Another thing that comes to mind on the theme of self-worth through this process, because it can be a very demoralizing process. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons that our message of courage really resonates with people, is because there's so much fear-mongering and scarcity, and when you think about immigration in the world, that it's a huge relief to have to that. But I do see it in a lot of people, and there's a gender difference too, because I often see women who are super overqualified, but who still aren't willing to pull the trigger and really go for it, because they think they just need to do a little bit more, be a little bit more perfect, and then it makes sense.
Perfection is a killer, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So I would just say, you know, on the individual level, there's that. And then where immigration comes up in companies, it's of so much value and can be such a blessing or improvement to employee retention and creating those relationships. It's not like, it shouldn't be viewed as a ball and chain, like, oh, as long as I withhold the green card, this person's trapped working for me. That's the wrong way. That's not going to lead to profits or happiness.
Right.
But like, wow, I'd like to empower you to design the life you dream about. How can we support you on that?
Right.
That's a way to win loyalty and respect and trust.
Right. That's so cool. So cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so very much, Sophie, for joining me today.
Thank you.
I'd like to catch up with you another time and carry on our earlier conversation before we went live.
Lovely.
But anyway, have yourself a great day, and thank you for joining us. And you'll catch Sophie out in the waves. On the beach. Find her on the beach.
Tell me where I can find myself, please. I'd like to go there.
Resting. Recharging. Okay, thank you, everyone. You'll find Sophie at podcast.heartatworkonline.org. You can find all her information there, and of course, she'll be posted on social media as well next week. Okay, thank you so much for joining me, Sophie, and congratulations on all your great achievements this past week or two. It's well worth going for. Courage. The word of the day is courage.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.